Hey everyone, this is Curtis Harris, and I am here to give you a quick walkthrough of Workout Wednesday week 28 in 2019. This week's workout is focused on the weather in the cities where the Workout Wednesday leaders live. So we have Phoenix for Ann, Salt Lake City for me, Minneapolis for Luke, and Warrington for Lorna. Um, and hopefully we'll gain a little bit of insight around where we live, and we'll learn some new design concepts along the way. So here's our example. Just look at this quick GIF. We're looking at average temperatures throughout the year by month for each of these cities. And as we toggle this filter in and out, we get some context about the highest temperature in the current month. So we can see Phoenix is very hot, as we all know, followed by Salt Lake City, Minneapolis, and Warrington in July. And that changes throughout the year. So let's move on. You can get the data here at this link. This is not Superstore data for once, and you can download the data necessary from here. And here are the requirements. So let's just walk through this really quick. So dashboard size is 1000 by 800. That's the default in Tableau, so you won't have to worry about changing anything there. All the elements should be in a vertical container except for the filter. So that's fine. I'll walk you through that. Padding for the vertical container. We can't get there yet, and make sure the values display as degrees. Okay, so here's where we're getting into a little bit of fun. So let's go into Tableau, and we will go ahead and check out the grain of this data really quick. So we should have one record per city per month, and that should tell you a lot about this data. So if we drag out city, month, and throw a number of records onto our text shelf, we should see one. So provided you're working with this grain, which we are, city, month, you can sum up the average temperature, you can average it, you can min, you can max, it'll all provide the same number. So sum of average temperature, median, min, average, it's all the same thing. So you can aggregate this however you want, provided your grain of your data stays exactly the same. So that's that really quick. And let's just go ahead and start building that line chart. So we're going to drag continuous month out here because we do need a reference line, as you saw here in the example. You can't put a reference line on a discrete axis. Well, I guess you could try, but it'll be a lot more difficult. We're going to throw city on color, and we're going to put our average temperature on rows. So right here we have our basic line chart. This works, right? It tells the same story. It just doesn't have the exact design elements. So let's walk through this. Axis should display marks every 20 degrees and provide context to the reader at the topmost mark. Okay, so every 20, we know we can't set these dynamically, so I'm going to go ahead and fix this from 0 to 120. Go to my tick marks and fix them at 0 and the interval to be 20. So there's that requirement satisfied. Every 20, there should be a tick mark, and we're good to go there. Looks like in my example, I probably went a little bit over 120 just to give that exact number some room to line up with its tick mark. So what I usually do is set the axis to be a little higher than the topmost tick mark and go from there. Now you see that 120 lines up exactly with the tick mark rather than being below it. You can add a reference line. We know that this is pretty much not going to change. So in situations like these, I don't mind hard coding in a reference line. If an average temperature in these 4 cities ever got above 120, I would be very shocked and worried for our humanity. So let's just go ahead and lock this in at 120, and we won't worry about it too much. We're going to give it a custom label and just say in Fahrenheit. Turn off the tooltips, which is a great new feature in Tableau, and turn off the line, and we are good to go. So that's how we get that little context there. I'm going to right click, format the reference line, and align that in the center of the line. So it lines up exactly with the 120. And if you hover over, you'll see that phantom line, but just looking at it, you think it's some nice extra context there that you wouldn't get otherwise. And while we're at it, I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the title for the axis because the topmost mark tells the whole story. Once we add that degree symbol, we will see 120 degrees in Fahrenheit, and then the reader can assume the rest. You don't need an axis title when the topmost mark tells you the whole story. And for fun, I'm going to go ahead and open up my solution because I am working on a keyboard without Alt and need to grab that ASCII character for degrees. So let me just go ahead and get that from here. Where is it? Okay. There it is. We're going to do that and pretend it never happened. So on our average temperature, I'm going to go to the default properties and go to number format, go to custom and paste this in here. That's one way to do it. This says for every positive value, just make it a whole number with a suffix of the degree symbol. And for every negative value, do the same thing. You could also just go to custom number, set the decimal places to 0, and provide that suffix here, which works exactly the same. And go from there. So now we have 120 degrees in Fahrenheit. Perfect. So we've kind of gone through these steps here. Make sure the degree symbols as a suffix, got it. Every 20 degrees and should provide context to the reader at the topmost mark. Add a reference line for the current month that will update automatically as the year goes on. So that one's pretty simple. All we're going to do is just grab the current month. It doesn't really matter what it is. We'll just go from there. So we're going to say current month. We're going to take the built-in today function, which was today's date, whatever day that may be when you're opening this, and we're just going to truncate it to the month. Okay, we're going to add that reference line. Whoops, I did not add it to there. And actually, I think this is going to not work out very well because I have these set to 1900. So we're just going to have to work on that a little bit here. I'm thinking this is probably because we just want to display the month name. Oops. Here we go. So we have the month of month. This is kind of a wonky data set. Doesn't really apply in the real world too much, but this will work for now. So we have December through January, February, March, April, May. If I poke over here at my solution, where are we? We'll be able to see what I did. I already forgot what I did to accomplish this same look. So let's see, we have the exact month here and we have our current month. Okay. So we're just doing the date name. Okay. So we're saying if the date name of the month field is equal to the date name of the month of today, then display that month value, otherwise null it out. So kind of hard to think of that one on the fly. Let's just take this and paste it in here again. Extracting the month name from the month field, which would say July, August, September, October, November, etc., and then doing the same for today, which would just extract July. Then we're going to display the month field Otherwise, null it out. Okay, so that's better. Sorry about that one. Going to move this back to exact date, and we're going to change this to attribute and add that reference line. Have to have it be continuous. Okay, so there's our line that will move as the data updates. When we roll into August, if you open this workbook on Tableau Public, this will shift over to the right by 1 month. So easy enough there. Add a circle over the point in the lines that represents the current month's average temp. So that one's pretty similar to where we could just say, we'll reference that field we just built to pull in the average temp. Actually, what we're going to do is just edit this. My mouse has gone a little haywire here. There we go. Let's take that calculation out. Start a new one. And then we're going to just throw average temperature in there instead of the date, which will give us a mark at this date every time. So let's go ahead, make this a dual axis, synchronize, and we're going to drop measure names off and turn this into a circle. Let's make it a little bit bigger, and we're going to wrap a white border around it just to make it look a little nicer. I'm going to turn this into a little bit lighter shade of gray, and that will kind of infringe less upon our marks. We're just going to hide this indicator. Turn that off, turn a bunch of our borders and all that fun stuff off because it's just starting to look a little messy every time you add a dual axis, and there's our general look. Okay, so that's good. We have a mark there. We have context, we have degree symbols, we have a reference line, circle one. Add a label for the hottest city in the current month for all the cities in the view. Okay, so that is informing me that I should probably be doing some kind of table calculation. Okay, we're going to just create a calculated field right off of the current month temperature. Current month label. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to try to look at the max value in the window. So we'll say if the sum, min, average, whatever, remember we can aggregate this however we want, current month temp is equal to the window max, then display the current month temp, else null. So you see what we're doing here over and over and over again is we're just nulling out values that we don't care about anymore. I'm going to put that label right here on my line. We get all of them because it's computing wrong. We just need to change the compute by to city, and now we have Phoenix showing the label. Everything else should be null at this point. And if we add our filter, which we have to do later anyway, and take out Phoenix, that label will pivot down to Salt Lake. If we take out Salt Lake, it'll pivot to Minneapolis, so on and so forth. We put Phoenix back in, it'll go back up to Phoenix. So that's how it is. We're really just singling out values or singling out marks is a more accurate way of saying it, to provide data where it makes sense. Okay, add a label for the hottest city. Okay, filter out Phoenix, it should move to Salt Lake, done. Add a simple legend that updates as the filter changes, and turn off tooltips. So if you don't know how to turn off tooltips, I would hope you do. Go to the tooltip menu and just turn it off. Uncheck everything there. So now we don't have any tooltips. We can add that color legend here. So all I did was put city on columns, made a copy on my text mark, turned off the header, turned off the borders, and moved this to color as well. And to make it look a little more consistent with the line chart, what we're going to do is sort by the current month temperature. So now that will move as well as the days go on. So, or as the months go on. So right now it says Phoenix, Salt Lake City, Minneapolis, and Warrington, because that's the order these marks are in. When we get down to months like these, that order will start to change. But generally speaking, the order is Minnesota or Phoenix, Salt Lake City, and Warrington, or Minneapolis. If we didn't have Warrington in there, which is kind of throwing everything for a loop, that's the order every single time. But there are some months where Warrington is warmer than Salt Lake and Minneapolis, but generally pretty cold throughout the year in Fahrenheit. So that's it for all of our requirements. Pretty simple. There's some extra formatting you'll need to do to match the challenge exactly, but I'm not going to go over that because that's just clicking buttons. I just wanted to make sure to show the calculations and how we got there with the labels and different things like that that aren't exactly what you're used to doing. So that's that. I hope you have a good time completing this challenge on your own. Hopefully this video helps you out if you couldn't get there on your own. And with that, we'll see you later and have a good day. Thanks.